I've never said I'm a perfect person, nor pretended to be someone that I'm not. I've said and done things I regret, and the words released today on this more than a decade-old video are one of them. Anyone who knows me knows these words don't reflect who I am. I said it, I was wrong, and I apologize. I've said some foolish things, but there's a big difference between the words and actions of other people. Bill Clinton has actually abused women, and Hillary has bullied, attacked, shamed, and intimidated his victims. We will discuss this more in the coming days. See you at the debate on Sunday.
That was Donald Trump apologizing following the release of a decade-old audio tape where the presidential candidate made lewd remarks about women. Republican Congressman Jason Smith of Missouri, CBS News congressional correspondent Nancy Cortez, and CBS News contributor Bob Schieffer join me now to talk more about this. So, Congressman, let me start with you. What was your reaction when you heard that tape?
You know, I'm the son of a former pastor, so I was deeply appalled and found that to be offensive and unacceptable. I'm very glad that he apologized, and I would expect tonight at the debate he'll reiterate that. I just hope that when we're at the debate tonight that people see the Donald Trump who I have met one-on-one and see the genuineness that I saw from him and how much he wants to serve and to fight for this country, that they'll see that genuineness in apologizing for the comments from several years ago. Are
words enough at this point, Congressman? Some have said that, you know, words are one thing, but real contrition is another. What would you say to that?
I think those kind of words are absolutely unacceptable. But I also think it's unacceptable of words coming from Hillary Clinton, for example. Donald Trump won this state back in March in the primary. And when Hillary Clinton called my constituents and the people of Missouri as being deplorable, those were words as well. And that was unacceptable. What we need to be looking at are the issues, you know, protecting the security of every American, looking at how we can grow the economy. I'm a millennial. Millennials care about jobs. They care about less taxes. They care about how they're going to pay for their education, how they're going to pay for their rent. I mean, almost 85%. What I read today, 85% of millennials that are graduating, that are seniors this year, are expected to return home to live with their parents. That's because they can't find quality jobs. We need to get to the issues that people care about. And that's talking about creating jobs, creating an environment where we can actually grow the economy.
Congressman, wouldn't you agree, though, that character is also an issue, and the more important the office, the more important character is? So when you say this, what he's been talking about, is not an issue, I would differ. I would say it is an issue.
Character is a huge issue, and that's why looking at Hillary Clinton, who testified before Congress, and then she spoke to the FBI and said two different things. So she lied to either the United States Congress or she lied to the FBI, which is a crime. So we have two candidates running for president, two major party candidates that are clearly imperfect. Both of them. And so that's where we are right now. But whenever we go to the ballot box and we have to pick a candidate, without a doubt, I'm going to pick the candidate that supports the issues, that believes in growing our economy, creating more jobs, less taxes, less regulations. And Donald Trump is that candidate.
And how do you justify the part that he is also admits to sexual assault? And not only admits to it, but brags about it. That must be hard for you as the son of a former minister.
You know, Bob, unless you saw something that I didn't, he only admitted to those comments. He didn't admit to any of the. He just admitted to the inappropriate context.
But why would you brag about something like that?
I think it's absolutely wrong. Why someone would do that, that's not something that I would do. But we're at a place right now, I would not lie to the FBI. I would not lie before the United States Congress. And Hillary Clinton did that. I would not call my constituents deplorable. And Hillary Clinton did that. This is unacceptable activities of people running for office.
I accept what you're saying, and I think that's a perfectly legitimate thing to say. But are you embarrassed Are you embarrassed that this is a member of your party?
I'm disappointed that our elections is where they are right now, but we have 4 weeks from Tuesday to the big day. And I do not want business as usual in Washington, D.C. I don't want a third term of President Obama. I care about the Supreme Court. I care about making sure that healthcare is accessible. When you look at my district, out of the 30 counties I represent, starting the beginning of next year, only 26 will have one healthcare provider because people's refusing these exchanges. And no one's talking about that. Where's the competition? Where's the accessibility? And premiums in more than 50% of our states is going to be increasing by 25% next year. Why aren't we talking about that? These are issues that I think the American people also care about. And we're highly disappointed in people running for office. I'm disappointed, but we got our work cut out of what needs to be done in Washington, D.C.
Congressman, part of the reason that people haven't been talking about that and other issues is because Donald Trump seems to almost on a daily basis say something that offends a class of people, whether it's African Americans or Latinos or women. And so that's what gets talked about, not issues like Obamacare, for which he has no plan for a replacement anyway. And you now have this unprecedented situation where Republican leaders, and we're not talking about people in swing districts always here. We're talking about John Thune of South Dakota, or Jason Chaffetz of Utah, Martha Roby of Alabama, people who I'm sure you've worked with and respect, now saying that regardless of whether they are closer to him on the issues than Hillary Clinton, they can't get behind this person. Are you concerned that this ship is going to sail and you're going to be left wondering why you stuck with him this long?
My grandfather always told me that people will hurt you a lot to help themselves just a little bit. And when I see a lot of these elected officials jumping ship, most of them that are jumping ship were the last ones to join the ship and they're the first ones to leave.
Not Jason Chaffetz.
And he was an endorser of Marco Rubio, as I was. So I'm not going to go through line by line of the different members that I serve with, but I personally believe that we need to look at these issues and push the policies forward. And when you look at it, to say that you're going to write in Mike Pence, what some of the senators have said, Mike Pence can't win as a write-in, so you're throwing away your vote. There's only two candidates. There's two candidates that can win. It's Hillary Clinton or it's Donald Trump. And so the people who I serve with that said that they're not going to support Donald Trump when they believe with him on the issues, they may not believe me. As someone who does not support his values and his actions, and I don't agree with most of his statements that we've been discussing, I do agree with his issues in reforming the healthcare system, in reforming the tax code, in reducing regulations, and trying to stop the abuse of unauthorized executive orders. These are the kinds of things we need to move our country forward.
Congressman, can you understand, though, why people are focused on this right now? Is it frustrating for you when you talk about those very things, those real issues facing Americans? Can you understand, for instance, I was looking at the Google search terms, right? And when it comes to Donald Trump, the #1 item on that list is women. This is not something that is just sort of the media fascination. There is actual interest out there on the part of voters in this. Can you see why that is?
Well, absolutely. People are looking at and watching what the media is reporting on. For example, the WikiLeaks article that came out. We have Hillary Clinton who says one thing to Wall Street millionaires and says an absolute something totally different to the Democrat primary voters when she's debating Bernie Sanders. You have Hillary Clinton saying that she's wanting to open up the borders completely to these folks down in Wall Street, and we're not talking about that. We're talking about Donald Trump. I think that we need to do a fair job at reporting both of their faults, and I don't think we've done that.
Well, I've done 200 stories about her emails and Benghazi and everything else. So I feel like we've talked about it, but I think, the question is that President Obama said today that one of the most important things that you need in a president is someone who is steady, who has self-control. They are out there on the world stage. Is that something that worries you? Because Donald Trump has now shown a pattern of saying outrageous things. It's why he was on the Howard Stern show for so many years because he's skilled at saying outrageous things.
What worries me is that Hillary Clinton is not someone I can trust. She testifies before Congress, says totally opposite of what she says to the FBI director. So she's clearly lying to either members of Congress, which is illegal, or she's lying to the FBI, which is illegal. That is someone who you can't trust. And she is the Democrat candidate for Congress. And I would love for the media to ask other elected officials of her party, why don't you denounce her? Why don't you get a new candidate? Because she's clearly lied. We don't know who she's lied to, the FBI director, or whether she lied to the members of Congress on a committee. She's clearly lied. We look at Benghazi. She was Secretary of State during Benghazi. That was a complete disaster. Do I trust Hillary Clinton? Absolutely not. And that's why you're looking at her disapproval ratings over 50%, because the majority of Americans don't trust her as well.
Do you think that your party has a chance to win? Because I'm talking to a lot of Republicans, and especially behind the scenes, who say, you know, there's just no way now. We decided a couple of weeks ago we were probably going to lose this thing, but now it looks like we may lose it by historic proportions. I mean, because he has alienated African Americans, he has alienated Mexican Americans, he has now further alienated many women. What is his path to victory now? I mean, I just don't think there are that many old white guys like me, my age, my demographic. There are just not that many of us now. We're dying off. So how do you win? Where do you get the votes to win?
I would never predict this election because everything I've predicted so far has been wrong and incorrect. I would say that there's an intensity out there amongst the Trump supporters that is immeasurable. And if people take that for granted, you may be surprised on November 8th. In our congressional district in southeast Missouri, we had almost 50,000 new voters show up in the primary. When typically you have 66,000 Republican primary voters, we had 116,000. It was a record. And these are people that aren't really new voters, they're just non-typical voters, not likely voters, not like 3s of 4s, 4s of 4s. So there's something going on out there that's hard to imagine. I don't know who all the supporters are. I don't know who all the voters are. But this election, I've been wrong predicting everything, so I would hate to answer that at all.
Some Republicans say that there's a civil war brewing in your party and that it is going to happen and it's going to be ugly before you can kind of move on and emerge on the other side. Is that how you see it? And if so, who's going to win that fight?
There's no civil war. That's just media hype. Republicans are very independent, and we have strong opinions, and we don't follow all in a flock. Mm-hmm. So as you can see, when people disagree with issues, they may not stay there. And so there's no civil war. It's just that we do truly disagree on different topics.
All right. Congressman Jason Smith, thank you so much for your time, sir. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Welcome to the Show Me State.